AI. It's everywhere you look these days. But trying to cut through the hype to figure out what's actually happening, well, that's a whole other story.
It really is. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that AI is just one big thing,
Sure.
when really it's more about different levels of development.
Like you're saying there are different types of AI.
Exactly. We usually break it down into three: narrow AI, general AI, and super AI.
Right. Like in that article, How to Learn Machine Learning, to be honest, I wasn't super clear on the differences between them.
Yeah, it can be a little confusing.
So let's start with that first one then. What exactly is narrow AI?
Well, it's also called weak AI sometimes, and it's actually the kind we interact with most often. Oh yeah, narrow AI is basically task-specific. It's designed to be good at one particular thing, like translating languages would be a good example.
Yeah.
Or, recommending products.
So Google Translate, that's...
In narrow AI.
Okay, and what about things like Siri or even self-driving cars?
Those too. And they've become so commonplace because they're incredibly good at what they do.
Yeah, I mean, self-driving cars, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Analyzing all those road conditions in real time and obstacles, even trying to predict what other drivers are going to do, it's a lot.
It is, and it's all thanks to narrow AI being able to, process huge amounts of data in the blink of an eye, way faster than we ever could.
So how does it actually, DET so good at those specific tasks? Is it like some kind of superpowered calculator or something?
That's a good way to think about it. Essentially, we train these AI systems on massive, massive data sets. So say you wanted to create an AI that could tell the difference between cats and dogs.
Okay.
You'd feed it millions of images of, you guessed it, cats and dogs, all labeled accordingly. And eventually the AI would start to recognize the patterns, the things that make a cat and a dog.
So it's about pattern recognition.
Exactly.
But wouldn't that take forever? I mean, teaching a computer to tell the difference between a cat and a dog.
It would for us.
Right.
But these AI systems work at incredible speeds. They can analyze those millions of images and learn those patterns much, much faster than we can even imagine.
Okay, that makes sense. So narrow AI, it's a really fast learner, but only for very specific things. Like having a personal assistant who's really good at, I don't know, scheduling meetings, but who wouldn't know what to do if you asked them to grab you a cup of coffee.
Right. Because it works within a predefined set of rules and parameters.
Yeah,
it's not thinking for itself. Like that article you mentioned about asking an AI philosophical questions.
Yeah.
That example, asking an AI, what is the essence of life? It kind of highlights a key point.
Which is?
That as good as it is at those very specific tasks, it doesn't have that deeper understanding of the world that humans do.
Mm-hmm.
If you asked a narrow AI about the meaning of life, it would probably just give you a definition from a dictionary.
Which is both hilarious and I guess a little reassuring, like, okay, it's not as smart as we thought.
Well, not yet anyway.
So that's narrow AI. Super fast, super specialized, but definitely still limited.
Right. Which brings us to the next level, general AI. And that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah, general AI, now we're talking. That's what a lot of researchers call the holy grail of AI.
Okay, so why is that? What makes general AI so different from narrow?
Well, if narrow AI is like a specialist, general AI is more like a polymath.
Polymath.
A polymath. It basically means a jack of all trades, someone who's good at a lot of different things.
Okay, so we're not talking about AI that's just good at one particular thing anymore.
Right. General AI, it's about creating systems that can learn and apply knowledge across a whole bunch of different tasks, just like you or I can.
So, instead of just translating languages, a general AI could, write code 1 minute and then compose music the next. Exactly. Or, it could learn a new language while it's whipping up a gourmet meal.
Okay, now we're really getting into science fiction territory.
Well, not quite, but it is a pretty huge leap from where we are now.
So how do we even begin to create something that adaptable?
It's definitely a challenge. One of the key things is figuring out how to replicate the way humans learn from experience.
So, instead of just feeding it millions of images, a general AI would need to actually experience the world in some way.
In a way, yes. Researchers are exploring all sorts of different approaches, from virtual simulations to even robots that can interact with the physical world.
Okay, so we're talking about AI that can not only learn, but can actually understand and respond to the world around it.
That's the goal. And it's not just about the physical world either. Remember how we talked about narrow AI and emotions?
Yeah.
Well, general AI would need to be able to understand those too.
Wait, seriously? We're going to teach robots to have feelings?
No, feelings in the same way that we do? No. but they'll need to be able to recognize and respond to human emotions if they're going to interact with us in a meaningful way.
So like recognizing facial expressions, tone of voice, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And then using that information to, well, to understand how those emotions may be influencing our behavior.
Oh, I mean, I knew general AI was a big step up from narrow, but I don't even know what to say.
It's a lot to take in, but it's also incredibly exciting. The potential applications are almost limitless.
Yeah, I could see that. But are there also risks? I mean, if we create something that smart, how do we know it'll, always have our best interests at heart?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one that we as a society really need to be talking about.
Okay, so from narrow AI to general AI, it's a lot to process, but I have to ask about the big one, the one that always gets people talking.
Super AI.
Yeah, super AI. That's where it starts to feel like, I don't know, less about science and more about science fiction.
You can definitely feel that way. But even though it's still hypothetical, it's a fascinating concept to explore.
So what are we even talking about when we say super AI? What would it actually be like?
Well, it's about an intelligence that surpasses human intelligence in every way, solving problems we can barely even comprehend, making connections across fields, just operating on a whole other level.
So it's not just about being faster or more efficient. It's about a totally different way of thinking.
Exactly. I like to think of it this way. If narrow AI is like a calculator and general AI is like the human brain, well, super AI would be like comparing the entire internet to a single neuron.
Wow, okay, yeah, that puts it in perspective. But if something like that is even possible, I mean, how could we ever hope to control it?
That's the big question, isn't it? And there are definitely some who believe that true super AI would be inherently uncontrollable.
Which is both exhilarating and kind of terrifying at the same time. But this is all a long way off, right? We're not going to see a super AI walking around anytime soon.
No, definitely not. We're still trying to figure out general AI. Super AI is still very much in the realm of speculation.
So why even talk about it then? If it's so far off, why does it matter?
Because I think it pushes us to think differently about the nature of intelligence, about what's possible, about the kind of future we're creating.
So even though it might seem like something out of the movies, thinking about super AI helps us prepare for the future in a way.
In a way, yeah. It encourages us to have those bigger conversations about the role we want AI to play in our world.
Wow, okay. I have to say, we've covered a lot of ground here. From those everyday AI tools we take for granted to, to super intelligence.
It's quite a spectrum, isn't it? But it's all connected.
And it's changing so fast, it can be hard to keep up.
It really can. But I think the most important thing is to stay curious, to keep asking those questions, and to never stop learning.
Well said. That's some great advice for navigating the world of AI and honestly, just life in general. To all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive. Keep those minds open, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next one.